Hello there, my name is Solmaz, and you are listening to Tabling Thoughts podcast. In this podcast, I talk about my experiences as a relationship coach and psychotherapist. The little things that I noticed in my clients' day to day lives, which may affect the quality of their lives and relationships enormously, and for some reasons, they don't pay that much of attention to them. As I mentioned, I'm a relationship coach and I also practice as a psychotherapist in Ontario, Canada. In order to get more information about me, you may check my Instagram account, YouTube, or my other podcasts via the links in description. You are listening to the 9th episode of Tabling Thoughts, and I'm going to talk about the art of saying no. Why is it so challenging to say no? Why is it so challenging to feel that I may make someone sad, mad, or disappointed? I always talk about this matter with my clients. And the statement I always use is, remember, you're not chocolate, you're not ice cream, you're not marshmallow, you're not candy. You are yourself. If someone needs to be happy constantly, they can have a bite of their chocolate, they can have their sweets, but not expect you to be their sweets, right? So let's talk about the several reasons that saying no could be challenging or uncomfortable. The first one is the desire to please. Most people naturally want to please others and avoid disappointing them. Saying no can feel like rejecting someone or causing them inconvenience, which may evoke feelings of guilt and anxiety for you. There's another reason, that's fear of conflict. Some people fear that saying no will lead to conflict or confrontation, which is true. It leads to conflict and confrontation. There is fear and worry about damaging relationships or facing negative reactions from others. So one may choose to agree to avoid all these conflicts. And you know what is the end result? The end result will be the deep damage to your self-esteem and self-confidence, meaning your self-worth will be affected because this fear will overcome the desire that you need to protect yourself, respect yourself. There is another fear, the fear of rejection. There is often a fear that saying no may lead to rejection or disapproval of others, which most of the time it will be the result. Specifically, if we value their opinion or approval. There are some studies on social conditioning too. Society often emphasizes the importance of being agreeable and accommodating and being always part of the herd and not being against the society's opinion and the majority of people. People may feel pressure to say yes to requests in order to fit in, gain approval, or maintain social harmony. Another reason that I think is one of the most damaging reasons is self-worth concerns. I can see in many of my clients' behavior pattern that they tie their sense of self-worth to how others perceive them or their ability to meet others' needs. Saying no can sometimes trigger feeling of inadequacy or fear of rejection. There is a difficulty in setting boundaries too. Saying no requires setting clear boundaries and prioritizing one's needs and limits. For individuals who struggle with boundary settings or have a history of people-pleasing behaviors, saying no can feel unfamiliar and extremely uncomfortable. Have you heard about FOMO? FOMO, fear of missing out? That's one of the reasons that people can't say no. Because they feel that they may miss out on opportunities or experiences if they decline a request. And that will lead them to a sense of regret or anxiety. The fear of missing out can lead individuals to say yes to things they don't genuinely want to do. Another reason could be the lack of assertiveness skills. Assertiveness is a skill that allows individuals to communicate their needs and boundaries effectively while respecting the rights of others. Some people may lack confidence in their ability to assert themselves, meaning that show their self-assertiveness, making it difficult to say no assertively. Guilt and obligation are the feelings that may arise when saying no, particularly if we feel responsible for meeting others' needs or expectations. The result of guilt and obligation sometimes could be the concern for others' feeling. We may worry about hurting or disappointing others by saying no, especially if they seem vulnerable or dependent on us. Okay, let's dig a little bit deeper and see why in the first place. Why should we say no? Is there any benefit in saying no? Yes, of course there is. The first benefit is to enhance your self-respect. Saying no when needed shows that you value your own needs and boundaries, which fosters self-respect and self-esteem. Another benefit of saying no and setting clear boundaries is improving our communications. It encourages open and honest communication as you express your true feelings and desires instead of suppressing them. Saying no will help us to establish healthy boundaries, which helps define and maintain these healthy boundaries in relationships, preventing others from taking advantage of you or overstepping your limits. As you know, each time you can't say no and you just suppress your feelings, you may feel extreme amount of resentment and anger. So by saying no, you will be able to reduce this resentment, because by voicing your limits and preferences, you prevent this kind of feelings of resentment from building up over the time due to unmet expectations or repeated compromises. When you say no, you increase mutual respect. When you assert yourself respectfully by saying no when necessary, you encourage others to respect your boundaries and preferences. Saying no strengthens your relationships. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual understanding and respect for each other's needs. Saying no when appropriate fosters mutual respect and understanding, strengthening the foundation of the relationship. All being said, saying no is foundation of self-assertiveness and one of the principles of personal growth. Learning to say no can be empowering and contributing to personal growth. It helps you become more assertive, confident, leading to greater emotional maturity. So what to do? There should be some solutions, right? Of course there are. But no solution is immediate or sudden. The first step is to know that why you're saying no. The second step is to know that when you say no, you're taking that marshmallow and chocolate away from that person. So they will be disappointed, they will be sad, they may be angry, and that is not your responsibility. To make it easier to say no, the first technique that I love it is to be straightforward. To avoid confusion, be sure that your response is not ambiguous. Keep your explanations and justifications to a minimum, because the more you explain, the less you will make your point. You can use I statement. When we use I statement, we literally take responsibility for our emotions and decisions. By utilizing I statement, we communicate our decisions with no guilt, with no obligations. You can say something that I appreciate your offer, I appreciate your request, but at the moment I have to decline it. Without any extra explanation, without any going around the bushes, be straightforward. And at the same time, remember, before you use I statement, you need to be able to give the other person the feeling that you have understood and appreciated the request or invitation. This kind of expressing your understanding keeps the lines of communication open while you're setting your boundaries. Be appreciative. If it's suitable, thank the person for the invitation or opportunity. I'm not talking about the appreciation that may make you feel you owe them. The kind of gratitude that shows you understand where they come from. In order to be able to thank them, appreciate them, and understand them, you need to make sure you have engaged in active listening. Active listening, specifically after you use your I statement, would take you extra miles. Pay close attention to what the other person has to say and respect their point of view. Even in cases where the response is negative, this kind of understanding and listening will demonstrate respect and we will foster continued healthy dialogues. Pay attention to the nonverbal cues there, to their body language. In that way, you can make sure that your tone of voice and body language does not follow theirs, meaning that if they get aggravated, if they get angry, you will not follow their mood. You will be able to manage your calm manner. And last but not least, set boundaries, maintain boundaries with respect. Clearly define your own boundaries and convey them to others on a regular basis. Don't give up. Once you give up, you should go all the way from beginning and set everything from beginning. And it's such a big hassle and it needs a lot of energy. Saying no when it's necessary, made easier by being aware of your own priorities and boundaries. In certain cases, you might want to give a concise and brief justification for the choice you're making. Okay, my friends, knowing that saying no is such a big challenge in our daily conversation, I hope the tools I provided in this episode would be helpful for you and you could use them, apply them, and give me feedback. Please jot down in comments if you want me to elaborate around other topics. Until next episode, take good care of yourself.